I was like just hero balling everything. I was running everything based on me doing it. When my daughter was born, this is no joke, in the hospital. And I brought my laptop computer there. I knocked out 18 tax returns the night she was born. I'm preparing tax returns because it's the middle of March. My wife's like, all right, we're dilated. Hey, she's gonna have this baby. And I'm like, okay, am I gonna miss this girl's birthday the rest of my life? Is this what I'm gonna do?
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. Look, I'm going to be completely honest. You know the reason I do this show. It's really just to have friends, to be completely clear. I have learned that this life is all about being on a journey, and this journey is making friends, acquaintances along the way. The guy that I have on today, Chris Picciurro, is someone that I've known for maybe 12, 13 years in the financial district world, we'll say, and he'll talk a little bit more about what he does. But again, you just got to remember, you walk down the street, this person that you walk past, they have a past, they have a present, and they have a future that they don't know, and you don't know either. None of us know what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds of our life or the next second. But we do know the past, and we do know our present. And sometimes it's just a matter of stopping and asking them, hey, what's your story? Like, what do you do? And you would be amazed at what you hear people do and the stories they have. And the guy I have on today is truly a testament to that. Chris Picciurro. Chris, good to see you, brother.
Steve, it's so good to be back. I don't know that I've been talking to you again. We've done so much over the last 15 years.
Yeah, I think you've been on this one long time ago.
Yes, it is a blessing to be back. And what you said is, it took me many years to learn as a goal-oriented person like yourself. You're a very high achiever, and I'm not saying I'm a high achiever. I'm saying you are, but the journey is the destination. And it took me a long time to realize that and believe that. And one of the things I think about in my personal life and in business is just thinking that when we're driving a vehicle and your windshield is a lot bigger than your rear view mirror. Now we need to be aware of what's behind us, and we don't know what is in front of us.
Yeah.
But look around and you can, enjoy that part, and as you journey through your life. I know a lot of people, like, in growing up in a very, very blue collar area, I had people that I know literally were counting the months till they could retire. And I feel bad for them because they were in a job that they couldn't stand, but they felt like they had to do it. And that's a tough way to go.
It's a sad way to live, man.
Yeah. And it happens a lot. So the journey is a destination. I didn't make the NFL like a guest of yours and a couple of these other guys, but you know what? I feel so blessed. I feel so successful not because of any financial accomplishments, just because where I'm at today and what, I have in front of me. And I'm excited to, just have a talk and catch up.
Yeah, cool. So just tell our audience what you do and kind of your background, and we can start kind of from there.
Sure. So my role is a tax planner and strategist. And, it's kind of like, I'm like the Kramer of the CPA world, right? No one knows what the heck. If you ever watch Seinfeld, what did this guy do? He's always around. But he has better hair than me. So, I do tax planning and strategy, and I'm a CPA by trade. I have a couple other credentials, but I help people legally and ethically reduce the tax they pay in their lifetime. And tax planning and strategy is something that a lot of people don't know exists. There are multimillionaires that have never done any type of tax planning and strategy. So I'll take it back to my example of tax planning and strategy is everything in your tax and financial world looking forward. Tax preparation or compliance is everything looking backwards. Just like that vehicle, you can control a lot more of what's in front of you and be aware of what was behind you. Can you imagine driving your vehicle, always looking at your rear view mirror? But that's what a lot of people do with their tax situation. So I help people. I'm part of a great team, and I've helped people do that. And we've built a community called Teaching Tax Flow to help people do that. And it's been great, very rewarding. And yeah, it's been a blast, and we're continuing to grow. So that's the thing, is when you build a community of people with then the ideas and the content and the things we need to tackle and discuss, there's never a shortage of them.
It's interesting. And, one of the partners in our business is a fractional CFO. Mm-hmm. And she says, bookkeeping, all those, very much what you said, that's looking backwards. The CFO is the one who's looking at things forward as a strategy as to where to make the investments, what to do. And so it sounds very similar to what you were just saying, where a bookkeeping is looking backwards at how do we do this month, this year. The CFO is looking at it forward facing, saying, okay, this is where we're going to put our funds and allocate and invest, and based on data and numbers. Is that a safe statement?
You nailed it. Actually, I was going to use that example that when you look at bookkeeping, or that is everything. It's a collection of your transactions. You're categorizing them. Of course, if they're incorrect, that could give you a false sense of where you're at. But bookkeeping is looking backwards. It's a compliance task. It's important. However, the CFO role is looking forward, budgeting, break-even analysis, where to put your resources and your assets is very important. And that's what companies do. Once they get that bookkeeping situated, now they can look forward. And Steve, I know you're awesome at fitness and training, and it's similar to saying this, like, can you imagine going to the gym, hiring a personal trainer, them giving you a session, and then you go home and have 5 Snicker bars? It's like, so the Snicker bar, so you can't, the bookkeeping would be, having bad bookkeeping is eating the 5 Snicker bars, Right. we have to, it all comes together. And, so you've got to think about that. Planning is kind of like lifting weights. It's going to pay dividends in the future, where the compliance is cardio. Yeah, if it makes you feel good, you need to do it, but in the long run, you need both.
Well, it's funny. I always talk to people about, I had learned an analogy of the law of advancement. And law of advancement is before anything goes up, it first has to go down. And so if we use the analogy of building a house, you don't build the house first and then build the foundation, right? You build the foundation, and then based on that foundation is how much weight it can hold and how high you're going to go in the building. Like, you don't build a house and you're like, oh man, we forgot the foundation. Like, dude, we got to go back and dig underneath this house and put a foundation. And what you're saying is putting that foundation. And when you think of a foundation, it's the hardest work. It's the dirtiest. It takes the most energy. And once it's built, it's covered up with dirt and you never see it again.
Right.
But it is the most vital thing for that house to stand, and it will not stand without that foundation. And,
Absolutely.
I talk to business owners. I'm like, how many people have no foundation? You don't know your financials, which is the language of business. You don't have any operations. You don't have systems. You don't have marketing. There's no leader, which I just described an organization chart.
Right.
You don't have any of that, but you're wondering why your business is leaning or falling or faltering. If that was a house and they said, hey, there's no northwest corner because we didn't put a foundation there, you'd be like, yeah, of course, there's no foundation. But that's what people do in their business. And I'm sure the financial part is probably, I would have to guess, one of the most ignored on purpose because of ignorance that people choose to not deal with. Is that, do you agree or no?
It's often ignored, and it's the bookkeeping portion is probably one of the first things you should outsource. Yeah. If you're a business owner and you're concerned about, well, it's going to cost me $40 an hour, $50 an hour for bookkeeping. If your time's not more valuable than that, then you're probably in the wrong business. First of all,
you need a job.
And and you can find it once you get organized. You can find that function a lot less money. You can use an overseas outlet. You can use, there are tools now with AI, with technology, with software. And just like you're saying, there are people that run their business books. Think about the house. Can you imagine building a house with no blueprint? Like, you just show up one day and you have no plan of when you're going to buy the supplies, when you're going to have them delivered, when you're going to have the electricians come in and the the roofing people come in, you're just ad hoc. Okay, I'm going to do this and that. And, and that's a great point. Another point I see, even in our industry, as a CPA, as a enrolled agent or tax professional, there's two different skill sets. Right? You could be really good at doing something. You could be an amazing plumber, an amazing electrician. We need a lot more of those people out there also. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you can run a plumbing business. They're two different skill sets. Right. And so that's where a lot of times those folks, they kind of, they grow. And I've been in business for 24 years. The first 10 years of it, I did it wrong, meaning I built the business based on me running it, not processes. And I built it hero balling a lot of things, and that was the wrong way to build it. But it's hard to, that was, many, many years ago. It's easy to look back now and say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But so a lot of times those folks, it's not that they just don't realize how important it is, and they can't get a feel of what their profit is because they don't understand their financials.
So let me ask you, when someone introduces you and they talk about all your successes, if I asked who you were without that, who is Chris? What would you say?
Right. Well, first of all, I'm a Christ follower, and our household we don't hide our Christianity. We don't preach it on other people, but that's a very important part of our life. I'm a dad of 3 kids that I hope that doing my best to mold them, to teach them lessons. I've made a lot of mistakes, so I have a lot to teach. Yeah. And then I'm a husband to I'm very lucky. I have a great wife who's my best friend. We struggle to play pickleball together, but we're working on that. Don't worry. But we're doing better. And then also I've always felt, my parents were super hardworking. I grew up just about 8 miles north of the city of Detroit border in a wonderful community, very blue collar, very hardworking. Then I've always been entrepreneurial, back from being a paper boy when I was 13, 14 years old, driving that bike around in the freezing cold and delivering papers like that silly video game Paper Boy. My mom made me go to every person on my route and ask them where they wanted their paper delivered. So those are good things. So, so I feel like I work hard. I put my heart into things that I care about, but ultimately, other than being what I described, I ultimately want to give back more than I take in anything that I do. That doesn't always work that way, but that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do.
So let me ask you this. When we talk about Chris and who you are, you're on a journey, yes. Right? We're all on a journey, as you said. Is there a part of your journey that nobody knows about, nobody claps for, but it changed everything?
That's a really good question. Yes, because it'd be in part of the journey, like for personally is to, it's something I'm working on all the time. It's just to like deepen my belief, deepen my faith. Also continue to try to live in a healthy manner. I mean, anything can happen, but, and that's one of those things that I'm, I try to clap for myself, but it's hard sometimes, right? It's you're just building those, you're kind of you're just, trying to move forward, and I'm just trying to get the most out of my God-given abilities that I can, which are very limited, but just trying to get the most out of it that I can in whatever I do. So, so as far as sometimes when we look back, we could see the progress, but sometimes we don't see the progress on a daily basis, right. Especially if you're really driven by goals and that sort of stuff too. So I think that, thinking about, I don't know, just anything like in life, just trying to, again, leave things better than you found them. Doesn't mean that that's going to be a sale. Doesn't mean that's going to be a friendship forever. It could be, I've heard the term, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It just depends on not everyone's in your life for your lifetime, but doesn't mean that they weren't there at some point for some reason. So
let me ask. Sorry,
no problem.
Lose my voice here. You came from blue collar town.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't choose this path, who would I be talking to today? What would you be doing?
Man, that's a great question. I don't know what would have happened because, I always loved sports. I always loved statistics. So when I was growing up, I thought I wanted to be a sports statistician. Now, I'm 51. So when I was growing up, we got ESPN at some point, but not many games were on. Like not many. Now so the thought was, well, how many sports statisticians do you need? You didn't even have the internet, so you actually had someone at the game keeping all the stats, and I just loved this. And so I thought, okay, well that's going to be, that's probably not the best career. Maybe it would have been a career. I actually thought about, I love travel and adventure, so I thought about being a pilot of some type, way, shape, or form. But I don't know, and I don't know what would have happened. I hope that I would have made the right decisions. And, we always say kind of back, if you want to know what your future looks like, look around you and who are you hanging out with? What do you, so I'm hoping that I would have continued to, to look forward in a positive way. I guess I probably would have been entrepreneurial too, because that I just had in me.
True.
But I hope that I still would, that's a really good question. About 10 years ago, my wife and I and our family moved outside from the Detroit area down to the Nashville area here in Franklin, Tennessee. And that was a tough decision not necessarily a tough decision to make. It was a tough decision to execute. We were looking at a variety of places. And so I think that I probably would have at some point left the Detroit area and tried something different. I don't know if I would have went back or not. I don't know what would have happened. But yeah, it's interesting because the interesting thought, Steve, is like this. We think, and I know obviously you fly all over the world, but if we look at, and we kind of talk about this when it comes to tax planning, like if we look at where you're at right now and where you want to be, the best thing, you have to have a process. You use, back in my day, we would go to the AAA and get a triptych, and then you had MapQuest, so you'd print out 20 pieces of paper that you're flying through. Yeah. But now we have great GPS. But if you take a wrong turn, a mile into a 500-mile trip, you could easily get on the course again. But if you take a wrong turn and drive 100 miles and realize you had a wrong turn, would you ever get back to the trip you wanted to be on? And so I'm wondering what would have happened, but I also feel like, I made a lot of mistakes. So I've tried to continue. I kind of try to, in my mind, say, fail forward. Like I fail forward every day with different things. And yeah, I don't know what would have happened. Hopefully I would have been all right.
Well, I think that, I've interviewed a lot of people, and some people are pretty quick to tell me what they would be doing. So I asked them, did you really not believe that you could have done this if you had this plan B? So you didn't even have a plan B, which tells me you were all in because you're like, I don't know. Like for me being a pilot, people are like, what would you do if you're not being a pilot? I'm like, I don't know. Like that's my identity. Like that's what I do. Right. I mean, that's, and so I'll ask you the question. Was there ever a moment that you were ready to quit? But obviously you didn't, you kept going. Like, take me to that moment. Everyone has them.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of breaking points. And probably my biggest pivot point in being a CPA and owning a CPA practice happened now 16 years ago. So I've had the practice for 24 years, so 8 years in. And I mentioned that I was like, just hero balling everything. And I was running everything based on me doing it and not processes, procedures. And even though we had amazing people. So when my daughter was born as a middle child, which is March 19th, 2010, this is no joke, in the hospital. We had a 14-month-old already. And I brought my laptop computer there. They did have internet there. It wasn't the fastest. And I knocked out 18 tax returns the night she was born. And I literally we had folders, and I brought this whole box of stuff, and I'm preparing tax returns because it's the middle of March. My wife's like, all right, we're dilated to this stuff. We're going to, we already knew the people at the hospital because we were there 14 months ago. Hey, she's going to have this baby, close it down, had the baby. Everything went great. My wife fell asleep, baby sleeping, boom, fired up the laptop again, kept working. And I'm like, okay, am I going to miss this girl's birthday the rest of my life? Is this what I'm going to do? And at that point, I was torn, right? Because that background blue collar, like, no, I got to work hard. I got to work hard to give our family every opportunity, but on the flip side, at what cost? So that was a big pivot point, and it ended up changing the direction of our CPA firm, changing me from thinking like how we run our business, how we deliver value to clients, what is more important, how we bring in tax planning and strategy. I didn't know it evolved to where it is now. I just knew I had to change. And I was thinking, do I just sell this practice and get a quote unquote real job, and play it safe? So that was the biggest pivot point from changing the practice that we had. And, I'm sure that like in real estate, I'm sure someone could flip houses and then they might get burnt out to a point and say, you know what, maybe I should start sprinkling in buying rental properties or buying things that are going to be a little more passive income. And so, but that was definitely a spot. I felt like.
So let me ask you this, and this may not be the same point, but I'm going to ask a kind of a different way. Like during our journeys, we get low points, right? Sometimes they're emotional lows. Sometimes we feel disconnected from our families as entrepreneurs, or we just feel like, why am I doing all this? That was a moment in time, right? With
right.
Your child being born. Now, we get these low points. I'm just burnt out. I'm like, my question is, when you had that, what did that version of you believe? Like, what was your belief at that point?
Yeah. At that point, my belief was I was trapped. That too many people were depending on me to continue doing what I was doing. We had team members. We had team members that had families we had clients that were relying on me. I had 2 children that were relying on me. I had, especially like my wife and her parents and my parents who probably thought like, why would you start? Like I had a great, not what people would consider a great job when I was 27 and quit that job and started my practice thinking, do this, and then you start doubting yourself, right? So, right. Oh gosh, did I make the right decision at that point? I was 8 years into it. And so this doubt, this kind of fear, and in our business in the CPA world, we don't have a lot of mentorship programs. We didn't have mastermind groups. We didn't have anyone to turn to. And at that point, I was the only owner of our practice. So I couldn't show weakness either. I couldn't go to someone on my team and say, I didn't have a business partner at the time that I could cry on their shoulder a little bit, right? So yeah, there was some doubt and guilt. And I thought, okay, well, I've got to change something. I can't change everything right now. But at that moment, I started writing down the things that as I went, like that I don't want to feel again, or that I think needs to change, and take the pressure off myself as far as saying, okay, I can't change 100 things right now.
Sure.
So figure out a few things we're going to change and then go in a different direction. So yeah, I definitely felt trapped would probably be the best way to feel like how I felt, because, as as entrepreneurs, like there's the practical side, like, okay, well, if I want to buy, I bought a house and I have my family, but what if my family grows again? What if I want a different house? Can I just quit sell this business? And there's a practical side of all this. If we need health insurance, we need this, we need that. So, but feeling trapped by the forces. But then what I realized is I did it to myself. I trapped myself. The CPA practice was going to run how I engineered it. But guess what? Which is me. And I didn't engineer it. I let everyone else engineer it. I didn't have a client acquisition process. I didn't have a great pricing model. I didn't have boundaries. I was having people come over to my house on Sundays and flipping tax returns. I didn't engineer anything. We had a great group, a team, a great group of people working, but it wasn't the structure that's needed. So,
so let me ask you, based on that, you know, I always find it interesting whenever we start something new, like a New Year's resolution,
right.
or where it's like, oh, I need to start doing this. I need to go to the gym more. I
Right.
need to start eating healthy. But what I've learned with successful people is they talk about what they need to stop doing, what they need to let go of. So
Yes.
what did you have to let go of for you to find this new success and go, this isn't freaking working. I don't need to do more. I need to let go of a belief, an ideology. I need to let go of people around me. Like, what did you have to let go of?
So I didn't realize that I was doing this at the time, but I started creating boundaries equal freedom. So I got to start creating boundaries. And that boundary might be, you know what? I'm not going to have appointments on Saturdays after 4 p.m. I'm not going to do appointments on Sunday. I'm going to stop these things. I'm not going to, do this or that or the other thing. So I realized, okay, I've got to create these boundaries. I've got to create more structure with things. And I just didn't, but there was a fine line, right? Because I was like, okay, I don't want to let people down. I have to earn money. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. So, but I would say the thing I had to stop doing was trying to please everybody. And then also understanding that other people could do the job you're doing just as good as you, but they're going to do it differently. That doesn't make them wrong and me right. It just was, so that was important. And it was a rocky road, but it ended up working out now. I mean, I feel I'm in a whole different situation. But yeah, I had to cut some things out. I mean, I'll give like there's a bunch of those aha moments about that time of my life where I was like, okay, this is because I realized I had this scarcity mindset that I was like I was fearful, like things weren't going to come. What happens if every client leaves the next day, or what happens if this, what happens if that? I just wasn't a seasoned and confident operator, if that makes sense.
So let me ask you this, like, what is it that your inner voice tells you now that it didn't tell you back then? Like, you're the same person. You didn't grow another arm. You're the same Chris I've known for 12, 13 years.
Right.
You're obviously a different person than the day I met you back at that convention and we had breakfast way back when. What is it that your inner voice tells you now?
So now I have goals. They could be faith-based goals. They could be personal fitness goals. They could be personal goals, or they could be business goals. And whatever, if there's this concept of you got to say no to say yes.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't meet my goal, then it's no. Like yesterday, my son played in a pickleball tournament. He did really well. He won the tournament. Everyone was happy. We went out for ice cream. Could I have an ice cream? Sure, I could. But I'm like, do I really want to have an ice cream right now at 9 at night when I'm going to bed? No, I don't. It's not worth it to me. So I just said no. I know that's kind of a weird example, but it doesn't fit my goal of like, I'm waking up. I was waking up at 6 a.m. today to go exercise. And I might feel like crap if I pounded down an ice cream at 9 and 10, and then maybe I'll be up longer. So yeah. So like with business, if it doesn't say, if it's not, if you have this guiding light of what you want and something doesn't get you to that guiding light, for me now, it's way easier to say no. And, it could be I wish I could remember, because where I heard this, maybe it was either a book or podcast. But so for instance, if you're like, hey, let's go to you want to go to this concert, and it might be a band I really don't even like, but it's in 6 months from now. So I'm like, oh, I don't know, Steve, it's fun to hang out with them. I'll go. And I'm only saying yes because I'm trying to be nice. And I'm like, that's in 6 months from now. I'm not concerned about it. So if you wouldn't say no, yes to that opportunity and go do it tomorrow, then don't say yes now just because it's 6 months from now. So that's like that kind of mentality I've been trying to.
That's a really good point. It's kind of like someone told me the same analogy is if you go into your closet and you look at those clothes and you say, would I go out to the store and buy those clothes right now?
Oh, yeah.
And if the answer is no, then get rid of them. Like if, there's things that you don't wear anymore when you're cleaning out your closet. It's like, would I wear that? Would I go to buy the shoulder pad, suit?
Right.
I wouldn't go buy that. So I know I'm never going to wear it again, but it's the same thing. I think it's maybe we don't want to let people down because I do the same thing. Yeah. Hey, you want to do this? Yeah, let me know. And then I'm like, it's getting close. I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't. That's the quick letdown. You know?
Yes. Yeah. So if it doesn't hit the guiding light that I'm working towards, whatever that is, then I just don't do it. Yeah. And then for me, a lot of it's like, I told there's my wife a few days ago, I'm like, I got to slow down. I like to be moving. I like to be doing stuff, but I also have to rest a little more and just, not over commit myself, we'll say.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're doing now. What version of success are you following today?
Yes. Well, today I'm looking for balance, and I believe that having a good balance allows me to help the people I'm working with from a business perspective better. And I say this to a lot of CPAs that run their own practices or enrolled agents. I'm like, we used to look at this, like I worked 110 hours last week as a red badge of courage. That's terrible. Like, what if you went into your doctor and the guy and the girl's like, oh man, I just worked 100 hours last week. I'm exhausted. What do you need? I want that person to, like, if they like going golfing, go golfing. If you like playing pickleball, go do that. If you want to, I want them engaged. So having a good balance and trying to be present for, people that are really important to me is what I'm that is my goal. And then, a lot of it now, how it happens, I've spent a lot of time with time blocking and really focusing on calendar and schedule. That's helped me from a work perspective. And so I work from home. I have a stand-up desk, but I'm an accountant. So I could be sitting on my butt a lot. So one of the things I changed was I know I'm going to be on the phone like an hour a day, 45 minutes to an hour with client calls or just whatever stuff. So I said, all right, I'm just going to go for a 2.5 mile walk every day. And that's when I'm going to return phone calls. Okay. And now, I've got my phone. So if I have to look something up and just that's like 5,000, 6,000 steps a day I wasn't getting before. And I think better when I'm walking. So that's just one little pivot, I guess, that's making me happier. That makes me feel better. But yeah, time blocking and that sort of stuff has helped me feel, like, so what makes you feel successful? It's doing things that you enjoy. To me, like, I enjoy the work I'm doing for the almost all of it. I enjoy going and, exercising usually. I don't like stretching though. I wish I was more flexible, but I forced myself to go to like a 30-minute stretching course twice a week because
that's good.
I'm 51. I'm not good at stretching. I'm not very flexible, and I'm not going to just start making myself into a pretzel. So if I go to a class that someone's going to tell me what to do, I realize there's a weakness in my opinion and my fitness. So I'm going to go fill that. Nice. So enjoying what you're doing is, to me, like that feels successful. And the people that you'd people say, well, I don't feel successful. It's probably because they're doing something that they don't enjoy.
So when you talk, I'm a big believer that like our lives are like books, right? Mm-hmm. And books are made of chapters.
Yes.
Like what chapter are you in now?
Right. I'm in a great chapter. I truly mean, I believe my 40s were better than my 30s. My 50s so far are pretty good. And I feel like this chapter is the chapter I'm in right now. I'm truly enjoying. My youngest just as it turned is 13 now, so we have 3 teenagers in our house. It can be a little hectic, but I'm enjoying this part. I'm enjoying seeing them make relationships and seeing them become adults. I'm enjoying time with my wife where we don't have to worry about getting a babysitter. We have some flexibility now, right? I'm enjoying, from work perspective, being able to commit all my time to tax planning and strategy and deepening relationships with clients and with strategic implementation partners to really make an impact on somebody from that perspective. And then I'm also enjoying being growing this tax planning and strategy community. So they both go hand in hand.
Sure.
But now doing things that are really proactive, and in that guilt that I felt in that tough moment I was talking about when my daughter was born, like that guilt, feeling like I've been very fortunate, and I want to help as many people out as I can, kind of led me to running myself ragged. Now we can help as many people that want to be helped with, talking about tax planning, talking about concepts, putting stuff out there that can truly help people. And I believe that the lower to moderate household families could benefit more from tax planning than the wealthy families, because it's a bigger percentage of their marginal income. And so that feels good to know we're helping out. So the season I'm in right now is really enjoyable. Luckily, knock on wood, my health has been good, and I don't really worry about, I'm not much of a worrier. So that's maybe a good thing. Maybe I should worry more. I don't know, but I guess I'm just enjoying this and enjoying every day that we have here, and just making the most out of it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I've been seeing your business grow, which is, as a friend, it's always nice to see other people succeed, especially people and
Thanks.
People that deserve it. And you definitely deserve it. So congratulations on that. If you were to talk to, kind of a final question here, if you were to be talking to the younger Chris, right, the Chris that just got getting started, what advice would you give him?
I would say to trust your judgment, trust your gut instincts, and to focus on, I wouldn't, like, it's almost like if I had a crystal ball, I really wouldn't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, so I wouldn't, but I would tell him to trust his gut, and focus on building relationships. Don't worry about sales from a business perspective. That'll all happen. Just focus on building relationships. And I would probably tell him, things are going to work out okay. So just keep grinding. I wish I had better things to tell myself. Other than that's it. That just to believe in yourself, believe that you're going to make the right decisions. Not every decision's been correct, that's for sure. I mean, I've made a lot of decisions that didn't work, but also remember to fail forward. And yeah, that's such a great question. I feel like just trying to, I feel like I'd want to tell myself to enjoy the journey, enjoy the pain, enjoy the screw ups. But hopefully, hopefully myself in 10 years from now will tell me the person I am now some smart things. I don't know. I got to think about it.
Good question, huh?
That is really good. How about you? What would you tell yourself 15 or 20 years ago?
Think bigger, move faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's that kind of goes in my style of how I operate, but it would be, every person I know that's successful, happy, fulfilled, not one of them said, I wish I went slower.
Right.
Whether it's an Olympic athlete or a multimillionaire, every single one of those people that I have met, they said, I wish I would have done it sooner because I was doubting myself.
Yeah.
Really, as to whether or not I could do it. And that was not fair.
Yes.
So I always remember that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I agree. I mean, believing in yourself and is really important. It's you've got to.
You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wish, gosh, I mean, in hindsight, it'd been, moving down here would have been better. But I really wasn't in the position to do it because I engineered the company for me not to be able to move geographically. And then once we changed our practice to real estate focused and we looked down, I'm like, well, 10% of our book of business is in Detroit. Why am I, I could live anywhere. But yeah, I agree. So back to your thing, if I would have moved quicker and thought bigger earlier, then we could have, but based on the real estate market in Nashville and Franklin, I'm very happy we moved here 10 years ago. So I have no complaints.
Awesome.
You can't chew yesterday's breakfast, right?
I like that. I never heard that before.
Yeah. I stole it from a baseball manager.
I like that. Cool. Well, Chris, if people want to get a hold of you, learn more about taxes, and we'll put it in the show notes here, but how do they find you?
Right. Well, I would welcome anyone listening if you want to learn more about taxes and how to legally and ethically reduce your tax pay in your lifetime instead of listening to all my life mistakes. Easy. Go to defeatingtaxes.com, and you're going to have three links. We've got a brand new book we just put out. It's on Audible. You can download it, or you can be old school and get a paper copy. You will see our private Facebook group, which is also called Defeating Taxes. I'd love for you to join that. It's complimentary. And you can ask questions every Friday. We have Ask the CPA. You can post anonymously. We are there to help out. And the third link there is our YouTube channel. So we have a Teaching Tax Flow is a YouTube channel that has a ton of complimentary content, link to our podcast. So I would say that's the best way to start. And I appreciate everyone's time.
Nice. Chris Picciurro, again, brother, great to see you. Great hanging out with you. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the time that you gave me, so thank you. And to all the people on High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg, thank you again for another episode. And we will see you next week with another amazing episode and amazing guests on High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. Catch you guys then. Bye.